By that I mean the genre of reality shows about polygamists that are trying to paint polygamy as this fun and happy familial experience, as something that should just kind of be widely accepted and approved of. I have a really strong opinion about that. And it's pretty simple. I don't think polygamy should be glorified or justified. I don't think polygamy is a healthy lifestyle for families.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Wednesday, April 13th. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Yay! Okay, this week has been kind of Duggar heavy, and I just want to say that I'm going to jump into something on the Sister Wives right now that I think some of you are going to be interested in because it involves a family member of them speaking out against the show. And it's not someone that we have seen before making this statement. So, hello, new family member on the horizon speaking out against Sister Wives. All right. Kody Brown has been super busy all over his TikTok, kind of sharing his experience on the show, giving viewers kind of a behind the scenes look at their life, answering questions about his relationships with his siblings, talking about the relationships with the sister wives, some of the tea behind the splits, all of that.
Fantastic. The parents never did the show. No, I am extremely grateful for the show. One, it is only because of the show I have all of this. I'm great, I'm fantastic, and I'm wonderful, but I would not have this crowd that I have right here if not for the show. I currently have over 800 people viewing this. I would probably have like closer to 20 people viewing this if not for the show. I am extremely grateful for the show. It has been nothing but good to us. What do you think all the negative energy is towards Robin? I think for a lot of it, so some things going on in the show is what people don't like too. And she's also someone that a lot of people are able to blame.
And so he is one of a few of the kids that has used their platform to speak about sister wives in a more honest place than the rest of them. The rest of them sort of live in a world where they kind of ignore that some of the content that's on the show might not be like truthful, or it could be highly edited or exaggerated. Now, when we were introduced to the sister wives like 10 plus years ago, they wanted us as viewers to believe that polygamy was a life that is normal. They wanted to normalize this life. They wanted to show that families that are involved in this world are doing so of their own consent, that it's a happy place for children to grow up. They wanted to sort of take apart some of those stereotypes that exist around
Are you excited?
In plural marriage, it's like this fine balance between your needs versus your sister wives' needs. It makes a successful situation if you can look out for your sister wives.
Polygamy, I mean, this was when this show debuted. Let's go back in time. This was around the same time that everything was going down with Warren Jeffs and the FLDS. So America's beliefs around polygamy weren't the most positive. And Kody wanted to sort of say, we're not like Warren Jeffs. This is not what our life is like. We are different. We're the AUB. We live in a different world. Our kids we aren't taking advantage of Medicaid, and we're not using food stamps, and we haven't declared bankruptcy.
Thank you. We know bad things happen in our culture. We know that these people had a bad experience. They will not validate that we are having a good experience and that in our culture people have a good experience.
Except they had all declared bankruptcy, and they also all had, well, at least some of them had been using government assistance. While they claimed there wasn't like the fraud around them, and while it's never been proven and they've never been charged with fraud, there was definitely some things about their own financial situations that made people a little bit scratchy of their heads. And then through the years have kind of witnessed the financial missteps of this family, even though they make a lot of money on reality television, not having anything to show for it, having all this property in Arizona, but not being able to build because they don't have the money to build. And still, despite having all of this fame, not, cutting ties with their network marketing and MLM stuff that really you don't see very frequently with reality stars. Like, most will cut their ties with all of that stuff once they shoot to fame or find something else besides, selling Plexus or LuLaRoe or whatever it is they're shilling today. There have been family members that have spoken out about them in the past. And, I was thinking about this because I was thinking about how I have interviewed Kristen Decker. She wrote the book 50 Years in Polygamy. She was the daughter of the former leader of the AUB. She was also Christine's step aunt and cousin. And she has been very vocal about how dishonest the show is and why she feels like it's not a good reflection of polygamy. What we have not heard is any guys from their lives kind of speaking out against this. And this comes from TikTok, but I want to be very clear that I found it on the Sister Wives Reddit, TLC Sister Wives, that was sharing some videos from just various accounts. And this is a nephew of Kody Brown talking about his own experience in polygamy and really why he doesn't watch the show.
I actually don't watch Sister Wives, at all. I've seen one episode and maybe a couple of clips. And I've done this rather intentionally because the Sister Wives show isn't reality, right? That's not my real family. I mean, it is my real family. Those are my aunts, that's my uncle, those are my cousin. But the image that's being constructed is a construct. It's something that the producers made.
So initially he says that he doesn't watch the show because of the way it's edited, and that what is put out into the world about his family isn't necessarily the truth because clips are being taken and curated by an editor to create a story that, is their story to tell, not necessarily the story of the family. He said he doesn't have necessarily anything negative to say about the show because he hasn't watched it very much. What he took problem with is the genre of the show, of being on reality television.
But I do have an opinion on the genre that Sister Wives is in. And by that I mean the genre of reality shows about polygamists that are trying to paint polygamy as this fun and happy familial experience. As something that should just kind of be widely accepted and approved of. I have a really strong opinion about that. And it's pretty simple. I don't think polygamy should be glorified or justified. I don't think polygamy is a healthy lifestyle for families. Polygamy is a relationship that is required by religious dogma. And so people choose into it without full choice or freedom. And so I think reality shows that are trying to paint polygamous families as happy-go-lucky, fun-filled places. And I want to be clear here that I don't have any secret background information on the Sister Wives family that makes me think that anything nefarious is happening there. In fact, my experience with the Sister Wives family is that they're really, really good for their kids. By far better than the average polygamist. But I think that polygamous families where the children receive adequate care are rare. And far more common are families where the children are neglected, abused, and sometimes exploited.
Trying to normalize and validate the polygamous lifestyle, which he feels is not healthy for children, women, any human being, and he said is not something that should be normalized. He grew up in a group, he escaped this group, and the Browns were members of the Apostolic United Brethren for years until their public separation with the church when they went public. The family left the AUB, but they have still been tied to them because Kody is still friends with bishops in the church, and they still associate with people from the church. So they might be out of the church, but they're still of the church. I don't know if that makes sense. Christine said she hadn't been a member of the church for years. So for her, she was out. But Robin speaks of the church as though they're still in the church. But from his perspective, while he's never witnessed anything nefarious with the Browns, in terms of them having the kids be neglected or being hurt or not having, proper access to healthcare and education, he said that experience in polygamy is not the norm. So he said that the family, the Browns, that portrayed on television and the ones that he knows, is not a common reflection of what happens in polygamy, but rather the more common reality for a child in polygamy and a family in polygamy is, people being forced into a situation based on religion. It's not a choice because it's based on your eternity, and it's almost coercive. And he said that his siblings and he were neglected and trafficked to work, into labor, and exploited. I'm gonna piggyback on this because he says the Browns did not exploit their kids, but did they? Not by putting them out on reality television. Were the kids' lives not exploited for views, for money, for putting out their agenda of wanting the people and the public to believe that polygamy was normal, that everyone loved each other, that everyone was happy, everything was great? Yes or no? No. Okay, yeah, because Isabel's surgery was exploited. Truly was born on national television. Both of Robin's kids that she had with Kody were born on television. An adoption was put on where, he adopted 3 children from Robin's previous marriage. Robin did an episode where she talked about how, her purity was stolen by her ex-husband in front of her children that she had with her ex-husband, mind you, and how she regretted that. And you have so many, the fights that happen between the boys' milestones, even when they moved to Vegas and the kids were dealing with serious depression because of leaving their family and their friends in Utah, that was all for entertainment purposes. So in a way, some people could argue that that's exploitative of children because they are minors on television. They cannot consent. Their parents can consent, but their personal moments, their personal issues, dating, sex lives, that was all talked about on the show. Their marriages and weddings were put out. And part of me wants to know, and I would love if a Payton could answer this question, if they were ever paid to be on the show. Did any of the kids receive payment for what they did on the show? Was money set aside for their work that they did on reality television? Because if they were not paid and the family benefited financially, wouldn't that also be exploitative? These are things that I think critics would argue with about the Browns not exploiting their children. So it's amazing to see another family member speak out against this. And I think, we shouldn't be normalizing a situation like this. And I think as we've seen this past year, just how fake it's been. Kody said that Christine lied for years and said she was happy in polygamy when she wasn't happy, and that their whole thing was kind of like this lie about life and stuff. So how honest were they being? Was this all like a curated version so that they could pull one over on us and make us believe that this lifestyle was real? Because now Christine says, this is not the life for me. This is not what I wanted. I don't want a relationship like this. Polygamy is not for me. So is it really true that polygamy should be normalized? And should we be glorifying lifestyles like this, knowing that for the reality of a lot of the people in this world, it is abusive and they are going through trafficking, and women are forced into marriages and groomed, and underage brides children are being married to adults, and in other groups it's siblings marrying siblings and uncles marrying nieces, and interfamily marriages. That happens in polygamy. Do we really want to be glorifying that by making it seem as though this is what normal America is? Is there a right for this to be illegal? Which it is. It's illegal in all 50 states, even though it's only an infraction in Utah, and it's a federal crime. Is this something we should be glorifying? Is the nephew correct here that this doesn't deserve to be glorified and this is why it shouldn't be on television? Or are you just like, whatever, who cares? They didn't exploit them. The kids all grew up. None of them are going to be in polygamy. The show saved them. Well, we're going to get into the show saved them in another video later. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.